In today's video I will show you how to use Winlator. With this application we can run computer games on our Android device. I will show you how to configure a gamepad and also how to store all the games in the microSD card. Remember that in the channel you have a couple of alternatives like Mobox or Box64Droid, so you can try different methods and select the one that works best for you. But in my case, Winlator and Box64Droid are the best options. The first thing to do is going to the repository of Winlator. You can find the link in the description of the video. Here you can go to Releases and select the last version available, in my case Winlator 7.1. Download the APK file and install it like any other application. Once you install the application and open it, you have to allow the app to access the storage. It will take a bit and then you will see this screen. Here you can see that we have some settings. I recommend you taking a look in case you modify something, that you know the default settings, so you can go back. Now we are going to add a container. The containers are the computers that we are going to use to run the games. So in this case you can modify the name of the container. For example, you can set the name to the configuration of the resolution in case you want to have multiple containers for different resolutions. So I will call mine 720p. Now check that you can modify the hardware acceleration configuration. In my case I will use TERMUX because I have an Adreno GPU, and I will leave everything by default. Also you can click show FPS so you can see how a game is running. I will show you now all the configuration by default, so you can just have a look and modify anything if you need, and then go back if anything goes wrong. But by default everything should work fine. Remember that you can modify the resolution, so if a game doesn't run well, you can lower the resolution and it will improve. Now we are going to open Files. This application is from Google and you can find it in the Google Play Store for free. Go to the microSD card, to the folder where we have all our games, and click on Folder Info. So we can see that we have the path to the folder with the identifier for the microSD card. We are going to copy it, going to Winlator, add a new entry and paste here the path. So we are going to paste the path and now click on the folder icon. You can see here that we are in the folder, but remember that you can go manually to this folder. Click on, in my case, the PC Games folder, and we're going to give access to Winlator to this folder with this button. Click on Allow, and now this should be detected on Winlator. Now you can see that here we have a couple of settings that you can put in performance to see if something goes better, or if in case a game doesn't run well, you can put it in compatibility. And now we are going to click on the button to save everything. We have this container, so you can click on the three dots and click on the run button, and after a few seconds you will see this menu. Here in the F drive we can see that we have the folder that we have just mounted. So these are the games that I have downloaded. So we only need to execute the .x file. After a few seconds the game will start and you can play it. In this case I'm running Balatro. This is a very light game, so it runs without any problems. You can check in the top corner that we can see the FPS. This is not running at top 60 FPS, but it is more than playable because this is not an action game. I recommend you taking a look to my other videos about Mobox and Box64Droid to see the comparison in performance with Winlator. Also, if we click on the back button in Winlator, we can open the menu. So as you can see, we have the left menu and we can open, for example, the task manager. Or you can set Winlator to open in full screen. In this window you can check the process open, the status of the memory and the CPU. Now I will run another game, for example Undertale. This is even lighter than Balatro, so it will run without any problems. So I will suggest you just to try different games and see how they perform. Remember that the heavier the game, probably the lower the resolution you need to run. For example, this game is Cat Quest 2. This is a very light game, but with better graphics than Undertale or Balatro. In this case, I'm running it at 720p, and it runs well enough. Probably not the best because it is not a constant 60 FPS, but you can see that the game runs well. And as I'm not very picky with FPS, I will play this at 720p with no problem. I will leave a bit of more gameplay, but I will show you later how to run, for example, games that comes with .iso format, because as you saw, we need to run the .x files, and we can run not games but any Windows program. But if a game comes in .iso, we need to uncompress it. So for that, we are going to use the RAR application. You can find it on the Google Play Store. It is free, so you can just download it and open it and navigate to the folder where you have your games. You can see that this is like any other file explorer, so we are going, in my case, to uncompress Hollow Knight. So select the .iso file and click on the uncompress icon. You can remove the last part, so the game is going to be uncompressed in the same folder, and wait until the process finishes. Now you can see that we have the setup.x file. This is the installer of the game, so we can go, in this case, to the download folder instead of the one that we mounted, and execute the setup.x file. You can do it with any game to install it on your drive. So just click on next, next, next. You can change if you want the folder where you are going to install the game, but you have to remember the path. Now when the process finishes, we need to go to the path where the game was installed and run the X file to execute the game. So in the case that you have an installer instead of just a launcher.x file, you need to follow this step. After the process is finished, we have the game installed on the folder that we just put it before. In my case is the C drive, games, and you can see here we have the folder of the game. You will see probably a .x file, and this is the launcher. As this game is heavier than the ones that I tried before, I'm going to lower the resolution. You can modify the configuration of the container that we just created before and select the resolution that works better for you. You can try several ones and keep the one that you prefer. Now I went to Winlator, I execute the game, and you can see that it is running pretty well. Apart from lowering the resolution, I recommend you go to the video settings of the game and check that everything is on low or the configuration that works better for you. For example, you can see that Hollow Knight, it's running at 20 FPS. It is not the best, but maybe playing a little bit with the configuration of the video settings, you can improve it, or lowering the resolution a bit more. Now I will show you how to add a gamepad, so you can play any game with a gamepad. The thing is, we are going to map, for example, in my case, the 8BitDo Lite 2 controller, we are going to map the buttons to keyboard inputs. So you have to create a new profile, you can name as you want, maybe like a game or maybe like your gamepad, and click on the icon of the controller. Now in the controller, press any button. You can see that I'm pressing A, B, X and Y buttons, and we are going to map that buttons to any key in the keyboard. Instead of mapping it to a gamepad, I'm going to map it to a keyboard because the gamepad won't work, but the keyboard's input works perfectly. So you have to know the different keys for your game. For example, in Hollow Knight, you can map the rows for the left thumbstick or the D-pad, and then you can activate the profile and play with the gamepad. Also, if you take a look to the different inputs, you can see that there is a virtual gamepad. This means that the controllers will appear on the screen, so you can play like a gamepad but with a touch screen. But I prefer using just a real Bluetooth gamepad. So I hope you like the video, don't forget to share, like and subscribe, and if you want to see anything in the channel, leave a comment.